The first time Jonah laughed in weeks, I was on my hands and knees pretending to be a rocket ship, his plastic helmet bumping between my shoulder blades, his little voice counting down like the whole desert was our launch pad. 3, 2, 1. And then a man's voice cut through the glass house like a blade. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I turned, and there he was, Mr. Ward in a charcoal suit that could buy a used car, jaw tight, eyes colder than the view over Red Mesa Ridge, and Jonah's helmet rolled to my foot like a question. We were both afraid to answer. I stood up slow, kept my voice steady. "He wanted to fly, sir. He hasn't laughed in a long time. He said he hired me to clean, not crawl around like a circus act," scooped Jonah off my back, and the light went out of that kid's face so fast it hurt, you know what I mean. That night, the house sealed itself, the way desert houses do, whined outside, silence inside. And at 1:17 a.m., Jonah screamed for his mom, while a movie scream, a torn sound, and Mr. Ward froze in the doorway, while the boy thrashed in sweat-soaked sheets, "Talia, help," and I didn't ask permission. I went straight in hand to his hand, breath to his breath, smell the cinnamon blow out the candle. "Baby, you're safe, I'm here." When he finally sagged against me and slept, I looked Mr. Ward in the eye and said quiet, but not soft, "I know you're hurting, he is too. If you want to threaten me for doing what's right for your child, then fire me now, but I won't stand here and watch him drown in silence, and neither should you." Downstairs, I wrote a letter by the espresso machine because some things have to be in ink. Told him grief is a thief, and connection is the only lock. It can't pick, told him, my little girl Nia died at 7 from a bad heart, and there's no money in the world that fixes that hole, only people who keep showing up. 2 days later, the sun was white and high, and Jonah chased lizards with a net by the pool that hangs over the desert like a dare. His sneaker hit a wet patch. He slid toward the edge. I ran without thinking and caught him by the waist. As his heels skimmed the water, my knees slammed the stone. His laugh cry hiccuped in my ear, and when the glass door slammed again, Mr. Ward was out there with his breath still in his throat. "What happened?" And Jonah beat me to it. "Miss Talia saved me, Dad. I almost fell." That night in the laundry room, he didn't look like a billionaire. He looked like a man whose armor finally hurt. "I read your letter. I've been a fool. You didn't just save him today. You've been saving him this whole time. You're not staff anymore. You're his nanny. Effective now," and I asked if he was sure because quick changes from men on top of the world don't always stick, he said. He should have been sure a long time ago. At breakfast, Jonah put his helmet on the counter, hair smashed to one side, and Mr. Ward made the announcement like he was reading a report from today, "Ms. Grant is your nanny," and Jonah looked at him with that plain kid truth and said, "But I have you," and I watched a father absorb a sentence like a blow he believed he deserved. We built a rhythm anyway, Macaroni Mondays, because stirring cheese into hot milk is therapy. Picture books in the patchy shade under the mesquite, breathing exercises at 2 a.m. when the bad dreams pressed hard, and the quiet in that house changed shape less like a lid, more like a blanket. Then trouble walked in on heels you could hear down the hall, Savannah Cole in cream and ice. The late Mrs. Ward's sister smiles that cut, "Where's my nephew?" And when she saw Jonah's hand find my sleeve, she said it out loud. So he clings to the help like she's family, and Mr. Ward tried to keep it civil, but she wasn't there for civil. She was there to jab a grieving widower, a vulnerable child, a housekeeper who oversteps. And I stood up straight, because some of us get used to people trying to shrink us with respect, Ms. Cole. I'm here because Jonah needs stability. If you can't see that, maybe you don't know him like you think. The gate filled with cameras. A week later, headlines with teeth from mop to mother billionaire, manipulated by nanny. Even Nia's name dragged through mud by strangers who think grief is content. And that's when Priya Shah, the lawyer, came in with a folder and a face that didn't waste moves. Savannah's filing for temporary guardianship, she'll say. Coleman is compromised, that you've blurred lines. They'll go after your past, all of it. So you need to be ready and you need to be steady. The deposition room was cold and framed with diplomas. Savannah's lawyer asked questions shaped like traps. You were hired to clean, now you function as a nanny. Do you discipline? Do you cook? Do you comfort him at night? So you stepped into the role his late mother had. And Coleman's voice finally cut steel. She stepped in because I asked her to, because my son needed her. Then the lawyer slid his eyes to me and said, "Tell us about your daughter's death." And I held the table like a rail and told him straight. Congenital heart defect, 7 years surgeries and night shifts and hard choices. She died in my arms. That is not neglect. That is loss, and he still pushed. Are you romantically involved with Mr. Ward? Priya jumped irrelevant. He smirked, relevant to motive, and I said no. I went home in the rain, hands shaking, wrote another letter and left it on his desk, and packed a small suitcase because I thought maybe love means stepping aside. Yeah, that happened. I thought I'd slip out before dawn and spare the kid another headline with my name in it. Coleman found the letter at 5 a.m. and showed up at my door like a man who had decided to fight his own life. You were going to leave in the night, like a thief. Quietly, for his sake, don't pretend this is for him. You think ripping yourself out of his world will heal him? He begged you not to go, I heard him, and I told him the thing. I was afraid to say, I'm terrified. I'm terrified that staying will cost him his father. If Savannah wins because of me, and he stepped closer and said, be terrified, but stay anyway, because that boy needs you, and so do I. The twist was this: he went public, stood in the stone parlor, and spoke into a wall of cameras without hiding behind the suit. Ms. Grant is not a liability. She is the reason my son laughs. She doesn't replace my wife. No one could. She gives my child the gift of feeling safe, and I will defend her with everything I have. And the house shook with opinions after that, half of them cruel, some of them soft. So we stopped playing defense and launched the Hold Fast project for single parents and grieving kids. If they were going to watch us, we'd give them something worth watching. I stood at a podium with my hands shaking and said, I'm not important. I'm a mother who held her child as she slipped away. If one kid sleeps easier because of this, let the headlines write themselves. The hearing room had high ceilings and a judge with kind eyes and a tough mouth. Savannah sat with a framed photo of her sister like a halo. You could weaponize, her lawyer said. Boundaries blurred and instability reigned. Priya stood and said, stability is not a degree. It's laughter returning to a child's face. It's nightmares loosening their grip. And when I took the stand, I told the truth and held on. And then the judge did the thing. None of us expected, looked at Jonah and asked if he wanted to speak. And he walked up with his helmet under his arm, like a little man at a ball game, and said, I live with my dad. He gets sad, but he loves me. Miss Talia reads to me. She saved me when I almost fell. I feel safe with them. I don't want to live anywhere else. We went home to wait. And waiting is its own trial, a week of breath held and pantry tears, and Priya reminding me to breathe low and count the corners. Then Monday, the judge said, the only words that mattered, petition denied custody, remains with Mr. Ward. And Jonah cheered before he remembered where we were. Savannah hissed, this is a travesty, and the gavel cracked the air like thunder order. That night, we made enough macaroni to feed a baseball team. Jonah fell asleep with cheese on his chin helmet on the nightstand. Like a guard dog, the glass house felt less like a museum and more like a kitchen after dinner, messy and warm and alive. And later by the infinity edge where I'd grabbed him weeks before the moon laying silver on the desert, Coleman said. You saved him, and I said the judge did that, and he shook his head. You gave him back his laughter. You gave me back my son. You gave me back myself. People still talk. They always will. Some say lines were crossed. That never should be that. Employees don't become family. That grief makes fools of men. Others say, the system protected. What matters? A child's bond. A father who chose presence. A woman who refused the shadow built for her. And Savannah posted a perfectly lit statement. The next day, this is not over. Legacy deserves defenders. Maybe she appeals, maybe she doesn't. Maybe our little family gets tested again when nobody's watching. And all we have left are habits and choices, macaroni Mondays, breathing at 2 a.m., a helmet by the bed, showing up even when it would be easier to shut the door. Here's where I leave it with you. Not neat, not tied with a bow. Because real endings don't close, they swing. Where do you draw the line between job and family? Image and truth, obeying the rules of power, and listening to a kid who says, I feel safe here. Was Savannah wrong to fight for what she believed her sister wanted? Or did she expose something about class and control we don't like to see? Tell me your take in the comments the moment you think we crossed a boundary, or the moment you felt the court finally got it right. And if this hit a nerve, share it with someone who needs to hear that quiet, stubborn love still changes rooms. And subscribe for the next chapter, because stories like this don't end, they keep choosing.